Listen closely. A message is coming to you that has never been spoken like this before. God is reaching out, and this is meant for you, the chosen ones. Today, you will step into a path few have walked, where ancient wisdom meets the quiet power within, where every breath, every movement, every moment holds a key to mastery. In this video, we will uncover truths hidden in the teachings of Shaolin monks, secrets of mindfulness that awaken awareness, and the principles of personal mastery that transform ordinary life into a life of purpose and power. You will discover why stillness is stronger than action, why discipline shapes destiny, and how energy flows through your being in ways most people never notice. There are lessons here that have been whispered through centuries, overlooked by many, yet waiting for those ready to listen. By the end of this journey, you will understand how to recognize the subtle guidance of the divine, how solitude can be a sanctuary rather than a burden, and how attention, compassion, and surrender can awaken the hidden strength you carry. You will see patterns in life that once seemed invisible and learn the gentle art of releasing what no longer serves your higher purpose. Every principle, every insight is designed to open doors to clarity, alignment, and mastery. This is not merely a lesson, it is an initiation into a deeper understanding of who you are and why you were chosen. Stay with me until the very end, and you will glimpse a reality few have experienced, a path few dare to walk. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. Subscribe now and join a journey where wisdom, power, and the divine converge within you. There is a quiet calling that stirs within, a voice so subtle it is often mistaken for thought, yet it carries the weight of destiny itself. You are chosen not because of wealth, title, or recognition, but because your spirit is ready to awaken. The world measures success by noise and applause, but the path of the chosen is measured by silence, awareness, and the courage to look inward. Being chosen is a summons to deeper consciousness. It is an invitation to observe every thought, every action, and every intention, and to align them with the pulse of life itself. Shaolin masters teach that nothing in the universe moves without intention. Even the smallest movement, the quietest breath, begins with a purpose. To be chosen is to be entrusted with this truth, that your life is not a series of random events, but a tapestry woven with meaning, if only you cultivate the eyes to see it. Discipline is the bridge between calling and fulfillment. It is the daily devotion to practice, to quiet the mind, to strengthen the body, and to refine the spirit. Without discipline, the chosen one drifts, like a leaf in the wind, unaware of the currents that guide them. With it, every step becomes conscious, every choice deliberate, and every moment a chance to touch the divine. This path is neither easy nor always visible. The world may not recognize your awakening, and often it asks you to walk alone. Yet the chosen ones carry an invisible compass, one that points always toward purpose, toward clarity, toward alignment with a higher order. The first step is understanding that being chosen is not a reward. It is a responsibility. It is a whisper from the universe calling you to rise, to focus, and to live with intention in every heartbeat, in every movement, in every breath. There is a stillness that holds more than emptiness. It holds answers waiting for those who pause long enough to notice. In the quiet, the mind slows, the body softens, and the world's chaos fades into a subtle rhythm that speaks directly to the spirit. Shaolin masters have known this for centuries. The loudest truths are often whispered in silence, and the deepest guidance comes not from movement, but from the pause between movements. Mindfulness begins with observing the flow of thoughts without clinging to them. Each thought rises like a ripple on water, then disappears. To watch without judgment, without resistance, is to train the mind in clarity. In this space, insight arises naturally. Patterns once hidden become visible, choices once clouded become clear. The body and mind, when quiet, act as instruments attuned to higher frequency, capable of sensing what words cannot express. In stillness, the divine communicates. Noise, whether external or internal, blocks this subtle transmission. God does not shout. God does not need spectacle. Guidance comes like wind brushing the leaves, like sunlight through a narrow window, gentle, precise, undeniable if one is present to perceive it. The practice of stillness is more than meditation. It is a form of mastery. It teaches patience, discipline, and humility. It trains the spirit to recognize truth even when life seems loud and chaotic. Ancient Shaolin texts remind that the warrior who masters stillness holds power far beyond the reach of strength alone, for inner clarity becomes the source of all right action. To sit, to breathe, to simply be, these are not acts of idleness, but acts of revelation. The silence reveals what noise conceals. The pause illuminates what haste obscures, and the quiet heart begins to hear the eternal voice guiding every step of its journey. Discipline is not a chain that binds, it is the key that unlocks the depths of the soul. Each day, small choices accumulate, forming invisible paths that shape who we become. Consistency, focus, and ritual are the brushes with which we paint the contours of inner power. Without them, potential drifts like smoke in the wind, beautiful but ungraspable. With them, the spirit solidifies, and every action gains weight, purpose, and clarity. In Shaolin tradition, martial training is more than physical exercise. Every movement, every stance, every breath is a meditation in motion. The body becomes a canvas for intention, the mind a river of calm precision, and the spirit a flame sharpened by repetition and focus. Striking a pose flowing through forms, even the simplest sequence of movements becomes a lesson in patience, attention, and self-mastery. Through this daily practice, the external world fades in importance and the inner world rises into view. Discipline transforms the soul because it teaches surrender to process. It is not about achieving perfection, but about returning to the path, again and again, even when the mind complains or the body resists. Each repetition, each moment of focus, strengthens the invisible muscles of the spirit, patience, resilience, and clarity. True freedom is born in this structure. It is not chaos that liberates, but mastery over self. When habits are refined, when attention is steady, and when effort meets consistency, the soul moves with a quiet authority. Life no longer drifts uncontrolled. It responds to the steady hand of inner mastery. The Shaolin Way reminds us that freedom is not found in indulgence or ease, but in the disciplined cultivation of mind, body, and spirit. Daily rituals, when embraced fully, do not confine, they elevate, transform, and awaken the power that has always been within. Every moment carries a choice, subtle but profound. Where will your mind rest, and what will it nourish? Attention is not merely a tool, it is sacred. What we focus on shapes our inner landscape, colors our perception, and guides the flow of energy within and around us. Shaolin masters understand this deeply. They teach that a distracted mind scatters power, while a concentrated mind channels it into clarity, strength, and insight. Mindfulness is often misunderstood as passive observation, but its true power lies in conscious direction. Each thought, each sensation, each impulse is an opportunity to steer energy with intention. To watch without awareness is to drift. To watch with intention is to mold reality itself, silently but irrevocably. Like water flowing through a carefully constructed channel, attention shapes the path of life, carving patterns in the unseen that eventually manifest in the world we experience. The sacredness of attention is tied to destiny. God does not dictate outcomes through force, rather divine guidance whispers through the focus of your heart and mind. Where you place your attention, you plant seeds. Those seeds grow into habits, choices, and ultimately the circumstances that define your life. Neglect this, and the currents of distraction take hold. Honor it, and you move with purpose, aligned with a higher order that responds to deliberate awareness. In ancient practice, the warrior's eye is steady, the monk's breath is anchored, and the mind is clear. Each act is measured, each motion deliberate. This is mastery of attention, recognizing that even the smallest focus carries the weight of consequence. By directing attention with reverence, the invisible threads of energy and intention weave a life of strength, clarity, and alignment with the divine. Attention is sacred because it is both the instrument and the offering. Where it rests, power flows and destiny unfolds. There is a difference between being alone and being lonely. The path of the chosen often requires walking where few dare to tread, moving through spaces unseen, unheard, and misunderstood by the world. Solitude is not a punishment, it is a gift. In the quiet, away from distraction and expectation, the mind sharpens, the spirit deepens, and the heart learns to move with clarity. Shaolin masters have long sought the embrace of solitude. In the mountains, within silent halls, or beneath the stillness of morning mist, they cultivate strength not through noise or display, but through presence and discipline. Each day of solitary practice strengthens resilience, hones energy, and reveals hidden layers of awareness. The body learns patience, the mind learns focus, and the spirit discovers the rhythm of its own true nature. In solitude, distractions fall away, and the subtle guidance of the divine becomes more tangible. It is here that the whispers of purpose, the nudges of intuition, and the quiet truths of life are felt in their fullness. One begins to realize that being chosen does not mean being accompanied by crowds or applause, but being aligned with a force greater than the self, a presence that walks beside even in the silence. Loneliness fades when the heart turns inward and listens. The chosen learn that their greatest teacher is often the stillness around them, that insight grows not from conversation but from reflection, and that the power to move through life comes from self-sufficiency, discipline, and connection to the unseen. To embrace solitude is to honor the sacred rhythm within, to cultivate clarity and energy, and to feel the divine pulse that flows through every moment. The path may be quiet, the journey solitary, but in this sacred space, the chosen discover strength, guidance, and an intimacy with the divine that the noise of the world can never offer. There is a subtle current that flows through every living being, a force unseen yet profoundly felt. In Shaolin practice, this energy is called qi, the life force that animates the body, sharpens the mind, and awakens the spirit. It moves like a river, circulating through pathways both visible and invisible, carrying the power to heal, strengthen, and transform. Awareness of this energy is the beginning of mastery, for what we cannot sense, we cannot direct. Qi cultivation begins with presence. Each breath, each posture, each motion becomes a tool to guide this internal current. Shaolin masters teach that the body is not merely flesh and bone, but a vessel for energy. Through careful practice, slow, deliberate movements, focused breathing, and mindful awareness, this energy is nurtured, balanced, and harmonized. When directed consciously, it brings clarity, resilience, and vitality to every aspect of life. How energy is managed shapes destiny. Restless, scattered energy invites chaos in thought and action. Focused, cultivated energy fosters strength, calm, and insight. The mind becomes clear, the body capable, and the spirit aligned with purpose. Life unfolds with greater ease when the internal current flows freely, when attention and intention guide its movement. The spiritual lesson is simple yet profound. Qi is a divine gift. It is entrusted to us, not for waste or neglect, but for conscious cultivation and reverent use. Respect it. Move it with care. Recognize its presence in the stillness and in motion alike. As energy circulates, it reveals truths about the self and the world, connecting inner mastery with the larger rhythm of life. To live in harmony with this force is to honor life itself, to align with the currents of destiny, and to awaken power that is not loud or external but steady, subtle, and infinitely deep. Every breath becomes a practice, every movement a meditation, every moment an opportunity to shape the energy that shapes you. Power without compassion is a hollow force, loud yet fleeting, like a wind that bends trees but leaves no lasting mark. True mastery is not measured by control or conquest, but by the ability to understand, to feel, and to respond with empathy. Shaolin philosophy teaches that strength is meaningful only when paired with a heart that honors life, that sees beyond self, and that recognizes the invisible struggles of others. Compassion is a form of energy, subtle yet profoundly transformative. It does not weaken the warrior or the master, it refines them. When the mind is disciplined and the spirit steady, Compassion becomes a tool of clarity. It allows one to act with discernment, to move without unnecessary force, and to influence without imposing fear. In this way, the chosen wield power not as domination, but as presence, an unspoken authority that uplifts rather than diminishes. In practice, compassion requires awareness. It begins with observing without judgment, listening without distraction, and responding without ego. The Shaolin master moves through life with this quiet precision, every action measured, every word intentional, every gesture rooted in understanding. Strength alone can command attention. Strength guided by compassion inspires loyalty, trust, and transformation. The spiritual insight for the chosen is clear. Influence flows from love, patience, and presence, not from intimidation or force. True power emerges when the heart is open, when discipline meets empathy, and when mastery of self allows for mastery in the world. Those who cultivate this balance illuminate paths for others, not by overshadowing them, but by guiding with steady hands and a gentle spirit. Compassion is a force that transforms both the giver and the receiver. In its quiet strength, it aligns the chosen with purpose, connects them to the divine, and reveals that the deepest mastery is not of others, but of the heart itself. Life moves in cycles, quietly repeating lessons until they are understood. The moments we resist, the choices we regret, the emotions we suppress, they all form patterns, like ripples on a still pond. Observing these patterns is not about blame or frustration, but about awareness. Shaolin wisdom teaches that the world mirrors the inner state. What appears outside is a reflection of what is held within. Each repetition carries insight, if only we are attentive enough to see it. To notice these patterns, the mind must be steady. Mindfulness is the practice of watching habits, attachments, and beliefs without judgment. Observe without clinging, without resistance. When a recurring thought or behavior arises, pause and ask, what is this teaching me? Which part of my mind, my heart, or my spirit is still seeking resolution? In this space of observation, clarity grows. The soul begins to distinguish between what nurtures and what confines. Release is the next step. Old patterns, like worn-out armor, may have protected or guided you once, but they no longer serve the path of awakening. Letting go is an act of courage, a demonstration of trust in the unseen currents of life. Shaolin masters know that detachment is not loss, it is liberation. By releasing, energy once trapped in resistance is freed, flowing into creativity, purpose, and alignment with higher truth. The divine guidance in this practice is subtle yet profound. Each pattern recognized and released aligns the chosen with purpose, deepening resonance with life's unfolding wisdom. Mastery is not only in action but in discernment, knowing when to hold and when to let go. In observing patterns and releasing what no longer serves, the path clears. The mind becomes lighter, the spirit stronger, and the heart more attuned to the divine currents that guide every step toward true awakening. Breath is more than air. It is the bridge between the body, mind, and spirit. In Shaolin teachings, conscious breathing is a cornerstone of practice, a simple yet profound tool to cultivate calm, clarity, and presence. Every inhale and exhale carries energy, intention, and awareness. To breathe with attention is to step fully into the now, leaving behind the weight of past regrets and the pull of future worries. The mind often races, scattering energy across countless distractions. Breath is the anchor, gently guiding awareness back to the present moment. In the rhythm of inhalation and exhalation, the body finds balance, the mind finds stillness, and the spirit awakens to subtler truths. Shaolin masters have long known that mastery of breath is mastery of self. Through disciplined breathing, the practitioner learns patience, focus, and the ability to act with precision in both body and mind. Conscious breathing is also a gateway to divine guidance. The sacred voice, the subtle nudges of intuition, the insights that emerge in quiet reflection, all are most accessible when the mind is settled and the heart is open. Breath becomes a vehicle for connection, a silent conversation with the currents of life that flow beyond ordinary perception. The simplicity of this practice holds its deepest power. It requires no special tools, no elaborate rituals, only attention, presence, and patience. Yet within this simplicity lies profound wisdom. The most ordinary act, when performed with awareness, can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. Through breath, the chosen learn to inhabit each moment fully, to align with the rhythms of life, and to cultivate an inner sanctuary where clarity, calm, and divine insight naturally arise. Every breath becomes a step on the path of mastery, a reminder that true power often lies in the quiet, deliberate moments we give to ourselves. Awareness alone is like holding a map without taking a step. Insight illuminates the path, but it is action that carries the traveler forward. Shaolin wisdom teaches that clarity must move from mind to body, from observation to deliberate movement. Without this integration, understanding remains abstract and the power it offers cannot manifest in life. Every choice, every motion, and every decision becomes a reflection of inner mastery when guided by awareness. The monk trains not only to know the forms, but to embody them, to let precision, patience, and presence shape every gesture. Awareness without action is stagnant. Action without awareness is chaotic. The balance of both transforms ordinary deeds into purposeful movement, ordinary moments into milestones of growth. The world responds to action, informed by insight. Each conscious choice sends ripples outward, touching not only your own life, but the lives of those around you. The divine does not intervene to dictate outcomes. It flows through those who act with clarity, aligning effort with the currents of life. This principle reminds the chosen that their responsibility extends beyond self, that mastery is measured not only in solitude, but in how awareness is applied in the world. Purposeful action requires discipline and patience. It is not impulsive, nor is it forced. It is deliberate, guided by reflection and sustained by intention. Shaolin practice cultivates this skill, teaching that the body and mind must work together, that inner clarity is meaningless unless it manifests outwardly. To integrate awareness into action is to honor both self and the divine. It transforms understanding into impact, insight into change, and potential into reality. Every step taken with intention becomes a conduit for growth, mastery, and alignment with a higher purpose, echoing through the tapestry of life in ways both visible and unseen. Strength is often mistaken for control, yet true power lies in knowing when to release it. Surrender is not weakness. It is a conscious act of trust, a recognition that life unfolds according to rhythms beyond the mind's grasp. Shaolin wisdom teaches that effort and surrender are partners, like the river flowing steadily around rocks, shaping the landscape without resistance, yet never losing direction. To surrender is to open space, space for clarity, space for insight, space for the subtle guidance of the divine. Holding tightly to outcomes, insisting on control, or resisting the currents of change blocks this flow. The practitioner learns that the more one relaxes into life's unfolding, the more energy becomes available, the more choices become clear, and the more guidance becomes visible. Discipline is not abandoned, it is refined. Effort is not denied, it is directed with awareness rather than attachment. Spiritual mastery emerges in this delicate balance. The body remains active, the mind alert, yet the heart moves with trust. Shaolin masters embody this principle in every stance, every form, and every breath. They act with precision, yet yield when necessary, flowing with the circumstances rather than clashing against them. Life itself becomes a teacher, showing that surrender does not mean passivity, but intelligent alignment with forces greater than oneself. Divine timing often appears invisible, yet it is always present. The chosen learn to trust that every obstacle, every pause, every seeming delay carries meaning and purpose. Letting go does not diminish power, it multiplies it, creating harmony between effort and allowance, discipline and trust. In surrender, the unseen reveals its patterns, the flow of life aligns, and the soul discovers that what is released returns greater, fuller, and more perfectly suited to the journey. Every step along the path of the chosen is a reminder that life is a journey inward. Being chosen is not about recognition or reward. It is a call to stillness, discipline, awareness, mastery of energy, compassion, and purposeful action. These are the principles that shape the mind, body, and spirit, guiding each choice toward alignment with something greater than ourselves. God does not always speak through thunder or spectacle. Often, the voice of guidance is quiet, subtle, and gentle. It is heard in moments of presence, in the clarity that arises when the mind is calm and in the heart that is open. Those who listen carefully, who cultivate awareness and discipline, learn to recognize this sacred whisper and follow its direction with trust. The journey of the chosen is not always easy, yet it is deeply rewarding. Every pause, every breath, every act of reflection and conscious effort brings the spirit closer to mastery, and life begins to move in harmony with purpose. True power is found not in domination, but in understanding, alignment, and the steady cultivation of the self. Take these lessons into your daily life, practice stillness, act with awareness, nurture your energy, and move with compassion. In doing so, you honor the calling within, and you open the door to the divine guidance that is always present, waiting to be heard. Thank you for joining this journey today. Embrace the path inward, and remember that mastery begins within. If this message resonates, subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire and continue walking a path of wisdom, presence, and transformation.